The snow had a sound that night. Asterisk, it wasn't loud. Not the kind that screamed through trees or rattled tin. It was soft. Like breath over skin, like the hush before a prayer. But it carried weight. The kind of weight that told men to stay. Inside, told coyotes to dig deeper, and told the lonely they might not make it to morning. Asterisk, Jack Thorne didn't mind the cold. He minded the silence more. Asterisk, he drove slow, both hands on the wheel, wipers barely keeping up. The headlights cut through flurries that danced like ghosts. His old Ford truck creaked as it rolled along the icy back road. An old black thermos rattled. In the passenger seat, beside a brown paper bag, 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and a cup of tomato soup for Wyatt, his son. He had to drive all the way to town for propane and bread. Found neither. Asterisk, gas station was boarded up, diner half lit. Shelves inside the general store looked like an old battlefield. Everything stripped, silence hanging heavy. No one had smiled. Asterisk, as he pulled into the cracked lot of the roadside diner, Jack saw them. Asterisk, a woman in uniform, or what was left of one. Torn green jacket, combat boots. She stood just outside the entryway under the broken neon sign. Her back was straight, face turned. Into the wind. Behind her, 6 children, different ages, huddled under one wool blanket. Faces red from cold, lips cracked. Asterisk, they didn't move. Didn't beg. Just stood there like they'd been waiting. Asterisk, Jack parked slowly. Engine ticking, he grabbed the thermos and stepped out. The wind cut through his jacket like blades. The woman didn't speak when he neared. Her eyes were focused somewhere past him. Asterisk, ma'am? He said no answer. He looked at the kids. A little girl, maybe 5, had bare fingers clutching a stuffed fox, frost stuck to its fur. A boy, older, held the edge of the blanket tight around his siblings. Their eyes met Jack's, then darted away. Asterisk, Jack opened the passenger door. Poured half the thermos into the lid. Held it out? Asterisk, the woman looked at him finally. Not grateful, not angry, just tired. Asterisk, you got anywhere to go? Jack asked. Asterisk, a long silence. Then, asterisk, no. Asterisk, car? Asterisk, engine died in the storm. We walked. From the junction. That's 12 miles, he said. She nodded. We've done worse. Asterisk, Jack looked toward the diner. A waitress watched from inside but didn't open the door. Jack raised his hand. She looked away. Asterisk, come on, he said. At least get out of the wind. Asterisk, the woman hesitated. Then gave a single nod. Asterisk, they followed him inside. The kids moved in one line like soldiers. Not a sound. Jack led them to a booth in the corner. The youngest clung to the woman's sleeve. The waitress finally approached, a towel in her hands. Eyes wary. Asterisk, they can't stay here long, she muttered. Asterisk, they're kids, Jack said, his voice low. Asterisk, doesn't matter. Boss says no loiterers. Blizzards bring all kinds. Asterisk, Jack looked at the woman. Her face was unreadable. Asterisk, I'll pay, Jack said. Whatever they want. Asterisk, they want grilled cheese, the smallest child whispered. A boy, thin, eyes dark and sharp. And cocoa. Asterisk, Jack smiled gently. Good choice. 15 minutes later, they sat around 2 booths, hands wrapped around paper cups, steam rising. No one ate fast. The children moved carefully as if food was fragile. The woman ate nothing. Jack sat across from her. I'm Jack Thorne, he said. Live about 6 miles west. Farmhouse by the tree line. She didn't offer her name. You all from around here? No, she said. You served? Asterisk, she hesitated. Discharged. Asterisk, Jack didn't press. He knew the way her hand hovered near her jacket pocket. Veterans had tells. So did ghosts? Asterisk, you walked that road with 6 kids in this storm? He asked swiftly. Asterisk, no one else was gonna? Asterisk, he nodded slowly. Looked at the smallest girl, who had finally smiled when a packet of honey arrived for her biscuit. Asterisk, where's their folks? Asterisk, her eyes lowered. They're mine now. A long silence passed between them. The snow hit harder against the windows. Wind began to howl. A siren sounded somewhere far off, a weather warning broadcast. Road closures, asterisk. Jack looked at her. Then at the kids. Asterisk, you can't sleep out there. Asterisk, we've done it before. Asterisk, I'm not letting that happen again. Asterisk, he saw the flicker of pride in her face, the walls rising. She didn't like charity. Maybe she'd rather freeze than feel pitied. Asterisk, this ain't charity, Jack said quietly. It's common decency. She didn't answer, but when he stood and extended his hand, she didn't refuse. They followed the old Ford through a snow-drenched dark, headlights carving tunnels in the wind. The kids sat huddled in the back seat, wrapped in blankets. Jack kept for emergencies. His son Wyatt looked confused when they pulled into the long driveway of their frozen home, a wooden house with smoke curling from the chimney, porch light flickering. Asterisk. Dad? Wyatt said as they stepped into the warmth. Who are they? Asterisk. Jack knelt beside him. People who need a place to get warm. Wyatt looked at the kids, then nodded. No questions. Asterisk. The woman stood by the door, hesitant. Her boots left melted. Prints on the rug. Jack pointed her toward the living room where the fire crackled. That couch folds out. Asterisk. I can sleep on the floor. Asterisk. You're not. Asterisk. The kids settled in quickly, like it was a drill. No noise, no complaints. The little girl curled next to Wyatt. He gave her his stuffed rabbit. She held it like treasure. Asterisk. Jack watched the woman sit stiffly by the fire, eyes scanning the room. Every movement controlled. He left her a pair of dry socks and a glass of water. Asterisk. You don't have to sleep with your boots on here. Asterisk. She didn't respond, but in the morning the boots sat by the door. He didn't sleep that night. Asterisk. Not because of noise, but because something inside him had stirred, something that had been buried with his wife 3 winters ago. That quiet ache of responsibility, of purpose, of doing something that mattered. He sat by the window as the storm howled around them. He watched the fire reflect off faces not yet ready to hope. He listened to the stillness broken only by the smallest child mumbling in her sleep, "Mama, don't leave me." Asterisk. And he realized, as snow buried the road and the world outside froze, that this wasn't a night for turning people away. This was the night everything changed. The morning broke like paper, gray, brittle, and silent. Asterisk. Snow clung to the windows in thick sheets, muting the world outside. The fire had burned low, its embers glowing like buried coals beneath ash. Jack stirred first. His bones creaked. As he stood from the armchair, blankets slipping from his shoulders, he found her by the window, still in uniform pants. Still alert, she hadn't slept. Steam rose from the coffee mug in her hands, untouched. She stood barefoot now. Her boots lined up neatly by the wall. Her eyes, half-shadowed, didn't follow him. They stayed fixed on the white world outside. Asterisk. Storm's easing, Jack said softly. She didn't answer. The kids were still asleep on makeshift beds in the living room. Wyatt had moved to the floor beside them without being told. A small foot was draped across his back. Jack reached for the kettle. You got a name? He asked. Asterisk. Her voice came after a pause. Layla? Asterisk. He nodded. That's a good name. Asterisk. She turned. Her face looked softer in daylight, but there was a tightness in her jaw, like she never let herself relax fully, not even in peace. Asterisk. Where'd you serve? Jack asked gently. Asterisk. Desert, mostly, she said. Search and relief. Then cleanup. Cleanup, he echoed. She gave a faint nod. The part after the war ends, when people stop watching. A long silence. Jack poured coffee into 2 chipped mugs. He handed her one. She accepted it this time. Asterisk. How long have you had the kids? Asterisk. Since spring, she said. I found them near a burned refugee station. The convoy didn't come back for them, so I didn't leave either. Asterisk. Jack didn't speak. He looked back toward the kids. Asterisk. They weren't mine, she said. But I couldn't leave them. Asterisk. You still wear the rank? Asterisk. She looked down at her jacket. Not for long. By the second day, the roads were still blocked. The radio crackled with storm advisories and the occasional missing persons report. Jack didn't ask. Layla didn't explain. They kept busy. Jack's generator coughed through the worst of the wind. The barn roof leaked from the weight of snow. Lila helped patch it. She climbed the ladder without a word, hammer in hand, balanced like she'd done it all her life. The kids stayed quiet. Not because they were scared, but because it seemed like they'd been taught silence was safer. Jack set up a game of checkers near the fireplace. One child watched, then another. By nightfall, all six had learned the rules. Wyatt didn't ask their names, he just played with them. Like they'd always been there. That night, Jack went to split wood. The cold bit sharper than usual. He felt a presence behind him, quiet, but alert. Leela stood in the doorway, arms crossed, hair tied back. She watched him work. When he missed a knot and cursed under his breath, she stepped forward, took the axe. "Let me," she said. She split 6 logs in 30 seconds. Her hands bled slightly. She didn't notice. "You ever sleep?" Jack asked. She shrugged. "Not really." "Too much noise in your head?" A pause. "Something like that." He passed her a clean rag. "You've done more than most." "Wood," he said. "They're just kids." "I was talking about you." Layla looked away. The third day Elias Blacktree came. He arrived in silence. No engine, no horse. Just appeared near the tree line like a shadow cut from the wind. Elias was old, brown-skinned and lean, wrapped in wool and leather. His eyes were sharp, but not unkind. Jack met him near the shed. "Didn't think you'd make it in this?" Jack said. Elias looked at the house, then back at him. 6 small prints, he said. "And 1 woman's boot. You found something." "Someone," Jack said. Elias studied him. "They bring trouble?" Jack didn't answer. Elias pulled something from his pack, a rifle wrapped in cloth. He handed it to Jack. "Storm's not the worst thing out there." Jack took it without a word. As Elias turned to leave, he said quietly, "Some debts don't ask for coin. Be ready." Later that evening, the radio crackled louder than before. Jack adjusted the dial, fingers stiff from cold. A voice came through, urgent. "Hey! Female soldier last seen near Route 12, considered a WO, possibly armed, traveling. With 6 minors. Approach with caution." Leela was in the corner of the room. She had stopped breathing. The children looked up. Alert but unreadable. Jack turned the radio off. No one said a word. That night, Layla stood by the barn long after the kids had fallen asleep. Snow fell in slow drifts like feathers. Jack approached her. "Why didn't you tell me?" He asked. She didn't look at him. "Would you have opened your door if I had?" He didn't answer. Lila's breath clouded in the cold. "They wanted me to leave the kids," she said. "Said it wasn't my place. Said they weren't mine. But the way they looked at me, like I was the last thing holding them to this world, I couldn't walk away." Jack exhaled. "They put a price on your head for saving children?" No. Medals for mothers who disobey." A long silence stretched between them. Jack stepped closer. "You're safe here." "I'll see to it." Layla turned, eyes searching his face. "I don't need a savior," she said. "I'm not one," Jack replied. "I'm just a man who knows what it means to bury a child." The words hung in the air like smoke. Lila blinked. She didn't ask what he meant. He didn't explain. The next morning, Jack found a drawing on the table. Stick figures done in pencil. 7 of them, 6 small, 1 tall. In the corner, a house, and beside it, a star. He turned it over. No name, just 1 word written in shaky hand. Home. The snow began to melt by the 4th morning. Patches of brown earth peeked through the white like bruises. Icicles cracked and fell from the roof in sharp, glassy drops. The world was trying to breathe again. Inside the house, the children played with old tin soldiers Wyatt had pulled from the attic. Layla stood behind them, arms crossed, but her posture had softened. Her boots remained by the door now. She had started drinking her coffee warm. Jack watched her from the kitchen doorway. He saw it, the small change. Not a smile, not quite. Peace, but she no longer looked like she was listening for an explosion in the distance. That meant something. He turned back to the stove. Then he heard it asterisk, not a knock. Not footsteps, an engine, low, rumbling, too smooth to be local, asterisk. He moved to the window and saw the black government vehicle pulling up the long path through thawing snow, asterisk. Jack didn't speak. Just reach for the rifle leaning by the wall, asterisk. Leela. Already knew, asterisk. She turned slowly, looked at the children. They had frozen mid-play. No one cried. No one asked anything. They simply knew. Jack nodded toward Wyatt. Take the kids into the pantry. Lock the door from the inside. Layla knelt before them, kissed each one on the forehead. No matter what you hear, she whispered, don't come out. Asterisk. Wyatt held Myra's hand tight as they vanished into the back. Asterisk. Jack loaded 2 shells into the rifle. Clicked it shut. Asterisk. Layla stood still in the center of the room, breathing like she was underwater. You don't have to protect me, she said. I'm not, Jack replied. I'm protecting the choice you made. 3 men stepped out of the vehicle. Asterisk. One wore a polished uniform, silver in his beard, eyes cold as sleet. The others were younger, armed, boots spotless. They approached without hesitation. Asterisk. The elder one called out, asterisk. Sergeant Quinn, under federal order, you are to surrender yourself immediately. Layla stepped onto the porch. Her voice was low. The children are safe. They're warm. They have food. That's all I ever wanted. That's not your call to make, the man snapped. She stepped off the porch slowly. Her hands were up. You want me? Fine, but the kids stay here. Jack's voice rang out behind her. Over my dead body? Asterisk. The younger soldier lifted his rifle. The elder one held a hand up, pausing him. Asterisk. Jack stepped forward, shotgun leveled. They're not going anywhere with you, neither is she. Asterisk. You're harboring a fugitive, Mr. Thorne. Asterisk. I'm harboring a woman who saved 6 lives when no one else would. Asterisk. You realize what you're doing? Jack took another step. Yeah. He said, for the first time in a long time, I do. Asterisk. The wind picked up. The standstill crackled like dry leaves ready to burn. Asterisk. Then a voice, low, steady, from the trees. You boys don't want to finish this here. Asterisk. Elias Blacktree stepped out of the shadows near the barn. Rifle slung across his chest. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply stood, like stone. Asterisk. The elder officer looked at him, then at Jack, then at the woman. A storm passed behind his eyes. He turned to the younger soldiers. Asterisk. Stand down. They didn't speak as they left. Asterisk. The vehicle backed slowly. Down the drive. No bullets, no blood. Just tire tracks vanishing into melting ice. Asterisk. Jack didn't lower his gun until the sound of the engine disappeared. Asterisk. Layla stood unmoving, eyes fixed on the empty road. Asterisk. I thought you might turn me in, she whispered. Jack looked at her. You don't know me well enough to think that. Asterisk. She turned toward him. Something cracked behind her eyes. Not weakness, release. They'll be back, she said. Let them, he replied. You're not leaving, asterisk. Leela stepped up onto the porch. The door creaked open. 6 pairs of eyes blinked at her from the dark. Asterisk. Mama, Myra whispered. Leela nodded slowly. I'm here. The thaw came faster after that. Asterisk. Birdsong. Return to the edges of the woods. The ice melted off the creek where Wyatt showed the others how to fish. Elias brought a box of seeds and old tools. He didn't say much, just helped build raised beds for a garden. Asterisk. The children started calling Jack Mr. Jack, until one of them slipped and said, Dad, by mistake. No one corrected it. Jack fixed up the barn. Turned it into a bunk room with beds made from scavenged timber. Lila helped sand the frames. She started sleeping in the house, not by the window, not with boots on, but on the couch, where she could hear the children breathe at night. She still had bad nights. Jack heard her pacing, sometimes crying, asterisk, but sometimes. He saw her smile. Spring came like a hush before dawn. Asterisk. One morning, Jack found Wyatt and the children barefoot in the garden. They had planted rows of carrots and peas. One child had drawn smiley faces on the seed markers, asterisk on the porch. Layla leaned against the post, coffee in hand. He stepped beside her. "They're safe now," she said softly. Asterisk, "They've got a home." She looked at him. "So do you." Asterisk Jack reached out, not to hold her, but to pass her something. Asterisk, it was the drawing, the one left on his table weeks ago. He had framed it in spare wood, 7 stick figures. A house. A star. Asterisk, I thought you should have this. Layla stared at it. She didn't cry, asterisk, but she reached out and touched the corner. The little star above the house. The sun broke through the trees that afternoon. Asterisk, children's laughter echoed across the field. Layla stood at the porch beside Jack. Her hand brushed his. Asterisk, not a romance, not a rescue. Something stronger. Asterisk, the kind of bond made not by blood, but by fire. By snow, by choice, by love that asked for nothing in return. Asterisk, if this story touched you, if you've ever stood between someone and the cold, share your story in the comments. Asterisk, because sometimes family isn't born. It's built in storms, in silence, in sacrifice, and all it takes is one person willing to open their door and say, asterisk, you can stay.